Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We've got another one of these discussion videos where we're going to be talking a little bit about the progression of the game in Marvel Contest of Champions. You may remember that about a year ago I put out a pretty long video where I discussed the complete history of progression all the way back from December 2014 until present day, which at the time was right around when Necropolis and Valiant was about to come out. And this is going to be a little bit of a follow-up video for that, where we're going to just be talking about what has happened regarding progression in the past year. This is from about October, November 2023 to current day. It is currently September 2024, and what we're really going to look at is the release of rank 3 7 stars over the past year. We're going to talk a little bit about how many have become available in the game. We're going to talk about where they have come from and sort of averages of what you can expect from some end game accounts. We're going to also postulate a little bit about when we're going to see rank 4s, and I'm going to of course be using data from the past and trends that we're seeing in the current game and in the past game to make some educated decisions about this. So anyway, now that we are 18 months into the life cycle of 7 stars themselves and 11 months, almost a year into the life cycle of rank 3 champions, we're going to deep dive into this and have a really interesting discussion. Of note, in the background, there's just going to be some random gameplay, so I hope you enjoyed that if you are just watching. But if you are listening, this is going to be one of those podcast type videos where I think you can just kind of be in the car or, be doing something else and just listening in the background, and hope you enjoy it. Now, the structure of this video, first we are going to talk about basically the past year, the year in the life of the rank 3s, how many rank 3s have been made available in content versus what is the maximum amount that any summoner could attain from transactions and gameplay. We're going to take a look at that as well. Then in the second section, we're going to actually go back in history and take a look at how 6 stars progressed from rank 3 to rank 4 and look at some possible upcoming events in the game to make some predictions about when we will first see rank 4 materials and also when we will fully form rank 4s. And then lastly, as a little bit of fun, I'm going to just do a quick tour of my rank 3s. You're going to see how many I have and the decisions that I've made. That'll be a little bonus section at the end, and there will of course be timestamps for these 3 sections. So with that all in mind, hope you enjoy the video. Let's get started. So first off, let's talk about how 7-star rank 3 came into the game. We first have to go back to May 2023, which was the advent of 7 stars. Already from this first month of their release, things felt different than the 6 stars due to the amount that were available upon release. People were able to get several 7 stars right out of the gate within the first week of their release, and also the champion pool itself was much stronger than the champion pool of the 6 stars. There were also some special pools of champions that were released a little bit later, such as the Loyalty or the Incursion Store. There were some creative acquisition types like the Morbius and the Gifted Guardians, and just in general, the whole way that 7 stars are slowly being released into the game is more interesting and dynamic. And it makes sense that one of the incentives for getting these 7 stars is that very early on you were able to take them to rank 3. In fact, while they only came out in May, it was October of that same year that we saw the first rank 3, which is the equivalent of a new resource in the game, the Tier 4 Alpha, when Fintech won the Battle Realm Brawl in October 2023, and he was gifted the 2-3 gem that brought his Silk to become the first rank 3 in the game. Now, for anybody else that was sort of an end game competitive player, it took a few other ways to get to rank 3 soon after Fintech. This was namely the Necropolis, which had a class gem for completing it, and then a generic gem for exploring it. And also in Cyber Weekend, there was one with a little bit extra material available so that anybody by the end of November, if they went hard in the game and went hard with their pocketbook, they were able to have 3 rank 3s right away. Now, let's talk about how rank 3s have been released in content. And when I say in content, I don't necessarily mean the same thing as free to play. What I'm excluding here is anything that is a transaction. So that means obviously the cash deals, but also I'm talking about like people that save 36,000 units and spend them all on July 4th to get those bundles there. I'm not talking about that because while that is technically free to play, it still has a transactional element to it. And what I'm tracking here are just the rank 3s that are available through doing things in the game, completing pieces of content, participating in special events that have materials and the like. So first of all, there are exactly 4 gems in the game currently, and there is about to be a resource for a 5th one when 9.1 comes out. But what I'm talking about here is if you downloaded the game today and you speed ran the game, did every piece of available permanent content, not counting 9.1, we will get to that in a minute, there are 4 rank 3s available for you. And where these come from are the 2 in Necropolis that we already talked about. There's the Crucible, which just came out. And then in Act 8, there is a gem there as well. So with those, we have exactly 4, which means, again, if you downloaded the game today and played it to your heart's content, you could pick up those 4. Now, there have been at least 2 more in temporary content, and I can tell you where these come from. The first one is the combination of the Winter of Woe and the Spring of Sorrow. Those were the pain content that went over multiple months, and each of those had 1.5 Tier 4 Alpha in them. So the combination of these 2 pieces of pain content equals 3 Tier 4A, which, assuming you're playing the game in other ways, doing battlegrounds, getting your Tier 6 class catalyst in order, that's another rank 3 right there. The 6th one, right, because we talked about the 4 that are in permanent content, then the pain content. Number 6 came from a few places. This was Act 8. There was an additional Tier 4 Alpha in there in addition to the gem. And then also there has been a full Tier 4 Alpha in each of the Saga incursions. And those have already occurred twice, and we can assume that will continue in the future. But when you add 2 Saga incursions plus the Act 8 single Tier 4 Alpha, that is number 6. So at this point, there are exactly 6 in the content, and I've actually found that there may even be enough for a 7th. There's just been like little bits and bobs here and there, small drops. Like, for example, the Deadpool Poolies event, there was like a whole Tier 4 Alpha in there that was free to play. It didn't require using any units or anything. It was just like, do this content, earn the Poolies, and then grind it out and you're good. There was also like the Valentine's Day calendar, and then more recently we had this reunion event where there was a rare drop. So it is technically possible that you could have formed 3 entire new Tier 4 Alpha so that somebody who fully was not doing any transactions and was just playing the game has 7. Now, I did already mention that the rewards for 9.1 have been released, and there is enough Tier 4 Alpha in there to freshly form number 8, so that we are saying today in the game there are 6 or 7 available through gameplay, and there will be an 8th one coming out once we get through 9.1 next week. So that means squarely, I'm pretty safe to say that at the 1-year anniversary in October of the rank 3s, we will have 8 available through gameplay. Now, on the other end of things, I had a discussion with Yusafa, who's one of my buddies in the game. He's been in 4 Loki forever, really talented player. He obviously spends a lot on the game, has a massive account, but he is also just a really nice dude. He has a really entertaining channel, and he's also quite skilled. He not only plays Battlegrounds to a really high level, but he's been in 4 Loki doing Tier 1 War forever. He has always played his own account, unlike some other whales, and just have mad respect for this guy. But he was open enough to me to share his spreadsheet, which he also puts on his videos if you want to see it in public. And after the recent Saga sale that just occurred yesterday, he is at 25 rank 3s, right? Now, if you think about this in terms of the game, he's about to get number 26 when 9.1 comes out. We have this range of, if you did 0 transactions, you have 8 by September. And then if you probably picked up every possible source of Tier 4 Alpha through offers, gameplay, Tier 1 War, every place that there's been a way to earn it, I can't imagine anybody has more than those 26, right? He's at 25 now, he'll be at 26 after 9.1. And you look at that range and like on first look, you're like, wow, that's a huge difference. But the main difference here actually is that the floor for gameplay is way higher than it was for 6 stars at 1 year in. And what I mean by that is, let's say I'm that player that only did the gameplay and no transactions and has 8 rank 3s. 8 is a serious amount for 1 year in, because first of all, that's like over 25% of a Battlegrounds deck. Also with 8, it means that you can have a full Alliance War defense and Alliance War attack of all rank 3s if you went that way. Obviously with 8, if you decided to go this way, you could have one in every class. You can have a full questing team. You can use it for raids, for AQ teams, for everything like that. So like, 8 is a really good starting place, and where you really see the huge advantage of someone like Yusafa, a lot of it has to do with the fact that he also has all the new champs. He has ability to sig them up through crystal openings and things like that. But also with 26, that's most of a Battlegrounds deck. That's over 80% of a Battlegrounds deck. And yeah, that is really going to stack up for a huge advantage. But that's kind of what you pay for, right? That's what the money does. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't remove enjoyment of the game from people that can't afford it or decide not to do that. And this is because with 8 rank 3s, you essentially have access to every possible thing in the game that you would want to do to your heart's content, except possibly being at the very tippy top of Battlegrounds. You can still do tier 1 war. In fact, I know people with only 7 or 8 rank 3s that are doing tier 1 war. And you can do every piece of content. You're the highest progression level with Valiant, which gives you access to just about everything in the game. And you can do all the pain content, and you still probably have a lot of ascended champions and rank 2s and things at high sig, that you have a very versatile account. It just means that the paid advantage comes in that most competitive version of PvP mode, which makes sense to me. And comparing this to how 6 stars were at the 1 year anniversary of rank 3, it is just so different. I looked back in time to 2020, which was the 1 year anniversary of rank 3 6 star, and at that point I was actually spending a fair amount on the game, and I was also in a top 30, sometimes top 20 AQ alliance. So things like prestige and progression actually mattered to me back then. But I had 5. I had 5 rank 3s, even with doing a little bit of spending and everything at the 1 year mark, and it felt like I was holding on for dear life, trying to keep relevant with prestige and roster, like having to rank Silver Surfer and things like that back in the day. And it just feels way different because, like I said, there's so much interesting content and there's so much to do in the game. And the fact that we get a little bit of a sandbox with these 8 rank 3s, even if you've never done a transaction, I think it's just a much healthier way to look at the game. And it's also led to some more interesting deals and some more fun deals so that the people who are spending money on all levels are getting more enjoyment out of the game instead of feeling like they have to do it in order to stay in the rat race. As somebody speaking from personal experience, I've sort of left the competitive edge of the game, but I'm still logging in every day. I'm still doing content right away. I still very much care about progression. I've found that by raising the floor of the amount of rank ups that I've been able to get, it's made the game a lot more enjoyable for me. And given what Crashed just said on the interview with Vega, where he said that more people are playing the game today than they were a year ago, which is kind of not the way the industry has been trending as a whole, and the fact that they are able to do some more creative sales and things like that that seem to be making money and putting the game in a good place, I think this is all just a net positive. They've sort of eliminated a little bit of the rat race. They've still made the deals really interesting. And then, like I said, that raising of the floor has made the game more interesting for veteran players like myself, so that it feels like if I skip a sale, like I didn't do anything on July 4th, I didn't even spend a single unit, it didn't feel like I was just taking my 9+ years of progress in the game and washing it down the toilet, right? It was like, I can just keep playing this game because I worked hard, I spent a little bit in the past having a little bit of fun here, and I still have an enjoyable account with champions that I want to use that are at the maximum level. So with that analysis, we are going to move on to going back in history. I alluded to this a little bit, but we're going to talk a little bit about that transition from rank 3 to rank 4 6 star and use some data from the past and the way things are accelerating today to predict when rank 4s are going to come into the game. So let's go on a bit of a journey looking back into the history of 6 stars as they transition from rank 3 to rank 4 and see if we can find any similarities. Now, the elephant in the room is that it is quite obvious that the release of 7 stars themselves and getting to that rank 3 rank was very accelerated, and I believe that Crash and the Kabam team has talked about the fact that getting to rank 3 was unusually fast and that things would semi-slow down after this. And the other thing to remember is that 7 stars have 6 total ranks, which means that the runway for them is a little bit longer than 6 stars, and we don't really know if that's going to mean there's more acceleration or if that they're just going to take their time getting all the way up to rank 6. But regardless, one of the things in our favor is that the first rank 3 6-star occurred around the same time in the calendar year as the 7-star rank 3 did, which is, around November of the analogous respective year. And this was back in 2019. So you may remember that the Tier 5 class catalyst was sort of gated in Act 6 and through offers. And the way that you formed your first rank 3 required a little bit of RNG because the Tier 5 CC needed to all be of the same class. So you were doing stuff like Map 7 eventually, getting your catalyst from Act 6, and then eventually there was also the Abyss and the end of Act 6 that sort of allowed most people to get their Thronebreaker rank 3. So even though this happened in November of 2019, most people didn't get them till mid-2020. Regardless, what ended up happening is the first rank 4 materials did not come out until April of 2021. So that was nearly a year and a half after the first rank 3. And the first rank 4 materials came in an offer that was on spring cleaning. And then the rest of 2021 was sort of the year of the rank 4. There was tons of endgame content. This was Karina's Challenges 1, the Grandmaster's Gauntlet, Summer of Pain, if you can remember that era of the game. So that the first rank 4 occurred in August of 2021, which was 22 months later after the first rank 3. And then, of course, a lot of people were able to form them because Map 8 came out a little bit later in the year, so that, by November or December, a lot of endgame players had their first rank 4 just before the gifting event of that year. So this means that if we are charting the path of the 6-star, which is probably the most conservative estimate that I can give for when rank 4 7-star will come out, probably the latest we would see the initiation of Tier 7 Basic, the new rank 4 material, would be April of 2025. That's the analogous time frame. And then somewhere in the summer or fall of 2025, we'd see the first formation of rank 4s. However, you have to look at the events that are coming up, right? We have Cyber Weekend, which is going to be after Act 9.1 comes out. We have the continuing release of more endgame content and Act 9 throughout most of 2025 and probably some of 2026. Then, of course, we have the 10-year anniversary and the Grand Banquet. And while I think Cyber Weekend is going to very much be about getting lots of rank 3s and a lot of Titan shards and sort of the current materials in the game, in order to get people to spend during the banquet, there needs to be something very exclusive, which makes me think that even though the analogous timeline puts us in the spring of 2025 as potentially the start of rank 4 materials, we're going to see some of it in the banquets. Now, the interesting thing is that the last 2 major rank ups, this is 6-star rank 5 and 7-star rank 3, they both came to the game first in the form of gems. With rank 3s, this was exclusively true, as in there was no Tier 4 Alpha at all in the game. When it came to the rank 5 6-stars, there was some Tier 6 class catalysts in the game, and in fact, a few people had formed them during the 2022 gifting. However, most people were able to form their first rank 5 by doing Eternity of Pain finale and getting that rank 5 class gem. The reason I'm bringing this up is because I'm trying to wrap my head around what is going to happen in the Grand Banquets. I can definitely see that some people that spend the utmost in this will get some form of rank 4 materials. The question is, will we see that rank 4 gem? And if we do, the thing is they're going to have to immediately follow up with some kind of content. The last few times that we've seen somebody get it through deals first, we always see almost an immediate follow-up of content. It just seems a little soon. So I could see it going one of 2 ways. First of all, the way that I would hope to not see it go is that there's just a tiny bit of Tier 7 Basic in the greater banquet crystals, which means technically speaking, if you go like all in and just keep buying the crystals until you form enough Tier 7 Basic, you could eventually get there. And we've seen people do that in the hunt for these very, very rare resources. The scary thing about that to me though is that Tier 7 Basic is a singular resource and it's generic. It's not the same as hunting for a specific class and trying to get lucky. So I'm not going to say that if they make the drop rate like incredibly small, it's still going to be quite expensive to get there. My advice to the game team would be, I'm a little scared of having this generic resource be unlimitedly farmable by just buying a ton of these greater gifting crystals. If they need to release a little bit of rank 4 material, which I think they will have to in order to make this an enticing grand banquet for the 10th anniversary, I think it needs to be in the ranked rewards. And the way I would do it is not give out an entire rank 4 yet. I still think we're a little early. What I'd love to see is maybe like 1.5 tier 7 basic for the top 30, and then 1 tier 7 basic for the top 60, and then a half of a tier 7 basic for the top 90. That means that you're still incentivized to keep going, and you don't know how much you need to spend to get in there. It's going to incentivize going even harder, which means in the process, you're going to be getting tons of rank 3 materials, probably Titan shards, Sig stones, champion acquisition, things like that. But you won't be farming the actual resources yourself. What you're aiming for is to get really high rank rewards so that you can be one of the first people to get a head start on the rank 4s. And then hopefully that means going into 2025, we have some summoners at the very, very top of the spending bracket that have some of their rank 4 journey started. We'll see little pieces of content and additional offers so that they're still the first people to form it, but that other people will soon after be able to form their first, while the largest whales will be able to be kind of working on their second by the time most people get their first. And this timing could work out if people start in mass getting their rank 4s sometime, in the spring or summer of 2025, because Act 9 is sort of on schedule to end in the spring of 2026 if it follows the timeline of Act 8, which would mean there's always, the rank up resources for the next rank there. That would be rank 4 for all the players that are maybe a little bit more casual and not 100%ing all the end game content, which was kind of the analogous situation to having the Act 8 end be a route to get Valiant a little bit later than everybody else that was going through the Necropolis first. So to conclude, I think that Cyber Weekend is mostly going to be our current materials, Titan shards, rank 3 materials, Sig stones. When it comes to the banquet, the most likely scenario is that there's some kind of gems or a small amount of tier 7 basic and just the ranked rewards, maybe top 60, maybe top 90, and then through content and offers throughout early 2025, we'll see what leads to the first full rank 4, maybe we'll get another progression title, and then by the time we get to the spring of 2026, most summoners through story content will be able to get there. Now, the interesting rank to me is going to actually be the one after this, because at some point we're going to have to introduce tier 7 class catalyst, which I assume will be for rank 5. And that's going to go back to that RNG fest of needing to line up the same class. So this is going to be the last time that we have a rank up to a new level that has one of those generic resources in a while. And then I'm really interested to see what Kabam does in the future when we get past that. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this discussion. We're going to do a quick review of my rank 3s in the current game, in the current meta, and let me know what you think. Here we go to my roster. Alright, so here they are. The only class that I don't have one in yet is Mutant. And, I had to make some painstaking decisions looking at the champs that I actually had and double up some of my classes. But overall, I feel like this is a really good squad with a lot of good utility. So my first one was America Chavez, and she was the one that I used the Mystic gem that I got from Necropolis. She is just overall one of the best Mystics, especially as a 7-star. The Illuminati love America Chavez, and we talk about her all the time, but she's just proving again and again to be such a versatile champion, a different type of Mystic, and just take all kinds of matchups, not just the Mystic ones, power control, punishing buffs, things like that. So just an amazing champion, and I'm so pumped to have her duped and at rank 3. Then Elsa Bloodstone was the one that I used at the end of Necropolis. Really, really fun champ. Sometime after that, it was Werewolf, Black Cat, and Spider-Man were a little bit in the middle there. For Spider-Man, I did the Karina's challenges for the CCP, and I got him 2 times. I really value his Sig, even at low Sig, and I threw some Sig stones in him too, so he's Sig 60. Just an absolute nuke at this power level, he's so good. I do have a video on him going through Battlegrounds and a bunch of other random content. He's just hitting so ridiculously hard at the current level of the game. And just to imagine that he's available at rank 4, rank 5, and rank 6 sometime down the road is kind of mind-bending. Werewolf, again, I doubled up on Mystic instead of going for like Sunspot for Mutant or something like that, but some of my friends advised me that I needed some more dual threats. If you look here, I have some really potent attackers, and Werewolf isn't the best defender, but he is somebody that you can also place on defense, and he's so good at just hitting the block. It's sort of like Valkyrie of the Mystic class. You barely need to hit them, you barely need to knock them down until you get ramped up into your curse, and then you just go ham with those ruptures, with the extra bursts. If they have buffs, it's even better. He has a tiny bit of nullify on a few different types of buffs that could help with Mystic Dispersion as well, and just an overall amazing champion. Black Cat, the queen of, just shutting down abilities after a while. Once you get to that special 2, if there's any abilities on hit, she just absolutely destroys them with that sabotage. And she's a little bit unique. I just managed to get her 2 times from that loyalty crystal. It seemed special enough for me that when Act 8 ended and I got a rank 4 gem for skill, knowing I had to double up on Elsa Bloodstone, my other skill, she was the obvious choice for me. Venom Pool, similar to Stark Enhanced, is kind of a fun one. I just got him in the Reunion Crystal, and then I chose him in the Selector to get the duped ability, which comes in handy for utility every once in a while and just a little bit extra damage. But he was one of my favorites back in the day. There are some videos of me, bad-mouthing him, saying Venom was a better champion, but he's pretty cool. If they have armor ups, he just absolutely eats, and quite literally. And I have a little Necropolis video of him, so he can definitely do the long form stuff. But again, anytime there's armor up, he's just absolutely amazing, really fun champ. And then finally we have Silk. I am waiting for the dupe of this champion. However, she just hits so hard, and with the crit rate stat focus plus the physical vulnerability and the red burst damage, like, she's doing a lot at rank 3. And if I ever do get that dupe, the added utility of the slow is quite good. So anyway, as you can see here, I am at 7. Like I mentioned, that's kind of the minimum for just playing the game. And truth be told, I have barely spent at all over the past year. I think I got Beta Ray Bill and maybe just a couple offers on Omega Days, and have basically been silent since then. Really speaks into how much the game is improving. It's still doing well financially, but it makes you feel like you don't have to spend. And like I had kept mentioning in that first part of the video, I'm about to get number 8 once Act 9 comes out. Having 8 1 year in feels great. Very happy with how my roster is shaping up, how these rank 3s are going. Let me know in the comments, how did you like this video? Did you learn anything today? How many rank 3s do you have? Do you feel like it's moving too fast? Do you feel like it's moving too slow? How am I doing with predicting the rank 4s? Are they coming even earlier than I mentioned, later? You let me know in the comments. Thanks for checking this out, and I'll catch you in the next one.